So what we've got here is an after school club project that I can show you step by step. So we've recorded the end. Well, we've done the entire project now, which was on another video. I'll show you at the end just in case the thing's timed out. What I can do is I can undo each of the steps of the progression here, so you can see exactly where we went with each one. So you can see how we went from just saying hi to teleporting the player to adding a little a delay to setting a block so that the teleporter resulted in them landing on a block, some bedrock, and then we said, well, that's nice to land on one block. What about if we landed on the platform? And at this point I was kind of showing off with for loops. So there's the for loop. You can actually see there where we got a nice example of a nice semantic error. It does the loop, but it keeps placing the block in the same position. So we had to go through and change into X, Y. I then commented all that out because I said we don't always need to set it up every time. I think we're spelling our name out by smashing blocks in the floor. We then said we've got more interesting blocks than bedrock, so we did some wool and some air to make a block appear and then disappear, and talked about abstraction. And you can see there moving setup into a thing. We then got another nice semantic error where I had defined the setup step after I'd actually tried to run setup, so I had to move setup above it. We added some extra bits here. You can see that that's the fireball, the red wool flying across the screen. That's where we had to move setup because we couldn't work out why it wasn't appearing, and it was because we'd done it in the wrong order. We'd now post into chat again. We moved that. We defined something called fire and did the same trick, just abstracted away from how to fire the fireball and put it into here. And the thing that allowed us to do is then just find the position of the player, post to chat the position of the player, get the block that they were stood on. Can you see the difference there? So that's the block they are actually in. That's the block they're stood on. We then assign that to the word block, copied and pasted our post to chat, stuck that there. We then looped it forever and then said if you happen to be stood on block 0, which is air, then you should fire. We then had to do a hell of a debug job here to work out why we couldn't fire, and we did the horriblest hack I've ever done. So you can see how, I think you can even see the mistypes. That's nice with this redo feature. And we traced fire all the way back to work out why it wouldn't work. I put in a bit of a debug there. You can see, I just want to know whether it was actually running that function or not, which it was. And that was the fix. Now, I'm not particularly proud of myself for fixing it that way, but that's what the fix was. So if you want to comment at the bottom and go, that was a noob error, I am quite happy with that. You can see at the bottom there some extra adjustments. I'm just going to tilt my camera ever so slightly because the action's just out of shot there. There's my fireball, and what we had to do was pass the parameters to the fireball, so A plus J, A plus J. So obviously I was doing this, the people was just watching what was going on. I say obviously, and that's what I've literally just added welcome to the game. So if we run it now, so with an F5, you'll be able to see what that results in, how that game actually looks when you run it. I go back to Minecraft, back to game, it says welcome to the game. There's the platform that I just made. Okay, so we need to be careful not to step off the edge. And when I jump, it fires a fireball. When I jump, it fires a fireball. And the idea being, well, we've decided retrospectively that what we're making is Space Invaders. So the idea being that the fireball will go up there, and at the other end of the platform, we would have green wool, purple wool, pink wool acting as the Space Invaders. Now, we could set the fireballs up as objects and instantiate them every time we jump, so we could have multiple fires, multiple bombs going up the screen. You can see we only get one at a time at the moment until that block's despawned. We don't get another one. It still spams the chat window, mind you. It's a bit frustrating. But that's the game. That was the after school club that we were doing at Hutton Grammar tonight. Thanks for watching.